The silk of my wedding dress felt like a noose against my skin. I stood in the bridal suite of the Grand Meridian Hotel, my fingers trembling as I tried to fasten the delicate buttons running down my spine. The room smelled of expensive roses, too many of them, their sickly sweet perfume making my stomach turn. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, I could see the gardens below, where white chairs sat in perfect rows, waiting for guests who believed they were about to witness a love story. They had no idea they were attending a funeral. My reflection stared back at me from the ornate mirror. Pale skin, dark circles under my eyes that no amount of concealer could hide, and a dress that cost more than I'd earned in 6 months of working double shifts at Lucia's, the upscale Italian restaurant downtown. The dress wasn't mine. Nothing in this wedding was mine. Not the venue, not the flowers, not even the choice to be here. "Mara, you look beautiful." My mother's voice cracked as she entered the room, her eyes already red from crying. "Happy tears," she'd said. But I knew better. These were tears of relief that her daughter was finally being saved from a life of struggle. I forced a smile. "Thanks, Mom." She fussed with my veil, her hands shaking slightly. We'd been poor for as long as I could remember. After Dad died, leaving us with nothing but debt, Mom had worked herself to the bone. I'd done the same, juggling 3 jobs while trying to finish community college. We were survivors, but we were tired. And then Derek had appeared. Derek Morrison. Handsome, charming, from a wealthy family that owned half the commercial real estate in the city. He'd walked into Lucia's 6 months ago, sat in my section, and ordered the most expensive wine on the menu. I'd spilled a few drops on the white tablecloth while pouring, my hands exhausted from a morning shift at the bakery and an afternoon cleaning houses. He'd laughed it off, asked for my number, told me I was beautiful. 3 months later, he'd proposed. It had all happened so fast. Too fast. But Mom had been so happy, crying tears of joy when she saw the ring. "You deserve this, baby," she'd whispered. "You deserve someone to take care of you." I'd wanted to believe her. A knock on the door made us both turn. Derek's mother, Patricia Morrison, swept in wearing a cream-colored Chanel suit and a smile that never reached her eyes. She looked at me the way someone might examine a stray dog they'd reluctantly agreed to house. "5 minutes, dear," she said, her voice dripping with false warmth. "Everything's ready." After she left, Mom squeezed my hand. "I'll see you down there." Alone again, I stared at myself in the mirror. The dress was too tight. I couldn't breathe. I should have felt happy, excited, in love. Instead, I felt like I was walking toward the edge of a cliff. The ceremony would take place in the hotel's grand ballroom, designed to look like an outdoor garden with its glass ceiling and marble columns wrapped in ivy. I'd never seen anything so beautiful or so cold. As I made my way down the corridor toward the bridal entrance, I heard voices, male voices laughing. I slowed my steps. "Can't believe you're actually going through with it." That was Jason, Derek's best man and childhood friend. "Why wouldn't I?" Derek's voice, casual, amused. "Come on, man. Mara, the waitress? You could have anyone." My heart stopped. I pressed myself against the wall, hidden by a marble column, my bouquet crushing against my chest. Derek laughed. A sound I'd heard 1,000 times, but never like this. Never so cruel. "You remember the bet?" "The bet?" Jason's voice rose with drunken excitement. "Holy shit, I'd almost forgotten. How much was it again?" 10 grand. You said I couldn't make a nobody fall in love with me in 3 months and get her to the altar." The world tilted. "You're just a bet." Derek's words echoed in my mind, each syllable a knife. "And you actually proposed?" Jason was laughing now, gasping between words. "This is insane. So what happens after the wedding? You just get divorced?" "I'll give it a few months. Let her play housewife. My father's already pleased, thinks I've matured by choosing someone grounded instead of the socialites. Once the trust fund transfer goes through next quarter, I'll find a reason to end it, probably catch her in some indiscretion. Make it her fault." "You cold bastard." Jason's admiration was evident. "What about her?" "What about her?" Derek's voice hardened. "She's a poor girl who got to play Cinderella for a while. She'll walk away with enough money to keep her quiet. It's more than she would have made in a lifetime serving pasta." My legs gave out. I grabbed the column to keep from falling, my bouquet dropping to the marble floor with a soft thud. The white roses scattered like bones. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The silk noose around my throat tightened. You're just a bet. 6 months of my life, my mother's joy, my stupid, desperate hope that maybe, just maybe, someone could love me. All of it was a lie. A game. A cruel joke played by a bored rich boy who saw me as nothing more than a challenge, a novelty, a nobody. I don't know how long I stood there, staring at the fallen flowers. Seconds. Minutes? Time had lost meaning. Then I heard footsteps. "Miss, are you all right?" A deep voice, accented. Italian, I thought distantly. The ceremony is about to... I looked up. The man standing before me wasn't part of the wedding party. I would have remembered him. He wore a black suit that looked like it cost more than the entire wedding, perfectly tailored to a tall, lean frame, dark hair, slightly silver at the temples, sharp cheekbones and a jaw that could cut glass. But it was his eyes that stopped me. Dark, almost black, and so intense I felt exposed, like he could see every broken piece of me. Behind him, 2 men in similar suits stood at attention, their eyes constantly scanning the corridor. Security. Serious security. My voice came out as a whisper. I tried again. "I'm fine." His gaze dropped to the scattered flowers, then back to my face. He studied me with an intensity that made my skin prickle. "You are the bride." It wasn't a question. "Yes." The word tasted like ash. Something flickered in those dark eyes. Recognition? Concern? "You should not be out here too quickly to name," he said quietly. "It is not safe." The absurdity of the statement almost made me laugh. Not safe? I was standing in a luxury hotel surrounded by guests, about to marry a man who saw me as a bet, and this stranger was worried about my safety. "Who are you?" I asked. A slight smile touched his lips, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Someone who does not belong at weddings." He moved closer, and I caught his scent. Expensive cologne, cedar, and something darker. Dangerous. He bent down, gathering my scattered roses with surprising gentleness for someone who radiated such controlled power. When he straightened and offered me the bouquet, our fingers brushed. The touch was electric. "Thank you," I whispered. He studied me for a long moment, his expression unreadable. "You are afraid." It wasn't a question, and I didn't bother denying it. "Do you want to marry him?" His voice was soft, almost gentle, but there was steel underneath. The question should have offended me. This stranger had no right to ask. But standing there in my silk prison, clutching flowers that smelled like death, I couldn't find the will to lie. "I don't know." I breathed. His jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "Then perhaps you should not." Before I could respond, Patricia Morrison's shrill voice echoed down the corridor. "Mara! What are you doing? Everyone's waiting." The stranger stepped back smoothly, melting into the shadows as if he'd never been there. His security detail followed, silent as ghosts. Patricia appeared, her face flushed with irritation. She didn't seem to notice I'd been talking to anyone. "Come now. Derek is getting impatient." Derek. My fiancé. The man who'd made me a bet. I let Patricia usher me toward the ballroom doors, my mind numb. The orchestra began playing, the doors opened. Everyone stood. And there, at the end of the white carpet, stood Derek, smiling. Perfect. A lie wrapped in a tuxedo. I took the first step, then the second. Each step was agony. Halfway down the aisle, I felt it, that prickling sensation of being watched. I glanced to my left, toward the back of the room where a few late arrivals stood. The stranger from the corridor. He wasn't smiling now. His dark eyes were locked on me with an intensity that made my breath catch. And in that moment, I saw something in his expression that I'd never seen in Derek's. Concern. Real concern. For me. A nobody. A bet. I reached the altar. Derek took my hand, his smile wide and false. The officiant began speaking, but I couldn't hear the words over the roaring in my ears. "If anyone objects to this union, speak now, or I object." The voice came from the back of the room. Everyone turned. The stranger stepped forward, his security detail flanking him. The air in the room changed, charged with sudden tension, danger. Derek's hand tightened painfully on mine. "Who the hell—" "The bride," the stranger interrupted, his voice cutting through the shocked silence like a blade, "is mine." The ballroom erupted into chaos. Gasps rippled through the crowd like a wave. Derek's grip on my hand became painful, his fingers digging into my skin hard enough to bruise. I could feel him shaking. Whether from rage or shock, I couldn't tell. "Security!" Patricia Morrison's voice shrieked above the murmurs. "Get this man out of here!" But the hotel security guards who'd started moving forward stopped abruptly when the stranger's two men stepped into their path. They didn't touch anyone, didn't even speak, just stood there, radiating a quiet menace that made grown men reconsider their choices. The stranger walked down the aisle with the confidence of someone who owned not just the room, but the entire world. Every step was measured, deliberate. People moved out of his way instinctively, pressing back against their chairs. "What is the meaning of this?" Derek demanded, finally finding his voice. "This is a private ceremony. You have no right." "I have every right." The stranger's accent became more pronounced, each word precise and cold. "The bride is under my protection." I stared at him, my mind reeling. Protection? I'd never seen this man before today. How could I be under his protection? Derek laughed. That same cruel laugh I'd heard in the corridor. Protection? From what? "Look, I don't know who you think you are, but I know exactly who I am." The stranger stopped a few feet from the altar, his dark eyes never leaving my face. "The question is, does she know who you are?" The words hung in the air like a threat. Derek's face flushed red. "This is insane. Mara, tell him you want to marry me." Every eye in the room turned to me. I opened my mouth, but no sound came out. My throat was too tight, my chest too constricted. The silk noose was choking me. "She cannot speak," the stranger observed quietly, "because she knows the truth." "What truth?" Patricia demanded, her voice shaking with outrage. "Young man, I don't care who you are or what connections you think you have." "Connections?" He turned his gaze to her, and she actually took a step back. "Signora Morrison, your family's real estate empire sits on land leased from companies I own. Your son's trust fund is managed by a bank my family controls. I suggest you choose your next words very carefully." The color drained from Patricia's face. My mother stood from her seat in the front row. "Mara? Baby, what's going on?" I looked at her hopeful, frightened face, and felt something crack inside my chest. "Tell them," the stranger said softly, his eyes on mine. "Tell them what you heard. How did he know? How could he possibly know?" Derek's fingers tightened even more on my hand. "Mara, don't listen to him. He's clearly disturbed. We'll have him removed and—" "You're just a bet." The words came out of me in a whisper. But in the shocked silence of the ballroom, everyone heard them. Derek froze. "What?" my mother breathed. I pulled my hand from Derek's grip, my skin white where his fingers had been. "I heard you. In the corridor, with Jason. You bet him $10,000 that you could make me fall in love with you in 3 months. That you could get me to the altar." My voice grew stronger with each word, fueled by a rage I hadn't known I possessed. "I was never real to you. I was just a game. A bet." The gasps were louder now, mixed with angry murmurs. Derek's perfect face twisted. "Mara, that's not—" "You misunderstood." "Did I?" I laughed, and it sounded broken even to my own ears. "You said I was a nobody, that I was just a poor girl playing Cinderella, that you'd divorce me after your trust fund transfer went through. Derek, is this true?" Patricia's voice was horrified, not for me, I realized, but for the scandal. Jason, standing at the altar in his groomsman tuxedo, had gone pale. He looked like he wanted to disappear. Derek's mask finally slipped. His handsome face hardened into something ugly, cruel. "So what if it is? Look at you, Mara. Look at where you came from. You should be grateful I even looked at you twice. You're a waitress. A nobody with a drunk father who killed himself and left you with nothing." My mother made a sound like she'd been struck. The stranger moved so fast I almost didn't see it. One moment he was standing still, the next his hand was wrapped around Derek's throat, lifting him slightly off his feet. "Apologize," he said quietly. too quietly. Derek's face turned red, then purple. He clawed at the stranger's hand, gasping. "Can't. Breathe. Then speak quickly. I'm sorry." The stranger released him with a look of disgust. Derek collapsed against the altar, coughing and gasping. The officiant had backed away, looking like he wanted to run. The stranger turned to me, and his expression softened almost imperceptibly. "You do not have to stay here. Who are you?" I whispered. "My name is Dante Valentino." He said it simply, as if it should mean something. It did. Even I, working in an Italian restaurant, had heard whispers about the Valentino family. Old money, old power, and rumors. Dark rumors about what they really controlled in this city and beyond. I couldn't finish the sentence. "Someone who does not appreciate seeing innocence destroyed for sport." His eyes moved to Derek, who was still gasping against the altar. "Your father, Mara Castellano, was Antonio Castellano." My heart stopped. "How do you know my father's name?" "Because he was a good man who worked for my family before his death." Dante's voice was gentle now. He was loyal, honest. "When he died, I made inquiries. I learned of his widow and daughter, struggling. I had intended to reach out, to honor his service, but I was told you wanted nothing to do with that world." I stared at him, my mind spinning. My father had worked for the Valentino family? My mother had never mentioned, but of course she hadn't. She'd always been vague about Dad's work, saying only that he'd been in import-export. After his death, she'd refused to speak of it at all. "I don't understand," I whispered. "Your father died protecting something precious to my family. I owe him a debt." Dante's jaw tightened. "When I received word this morning that Antonio Castellano's daughter was marrying Derek Morrison, I had my people investigate. What they discovered..." His eyes moved to Derek with open contempt. "This wedding ends now. You can't just..." Patricia started. "I can." Dante didn't even look at her. "I am. Miss Castellano, you have a choice. You can stay here, marry this man who sees you as a bet, or you can walk away. The choice is yours. Always yours." My mother pushed through the crowd, reaching for me. "Mara, what's happening? I don't understand any of this." I took her hands, feeling them tremble. "Did you know? About Dad working for the Valentinos?" Her face crumpled. Yes, but I wanted to protect you from that life. After your father died, I just wanted us to be normal. Safe. We were never safe, Mom. The truth settled over me like a weight. We were just invisible." I looked at Derek, still catching his breath, his face mottled with rage and humiliation. Then at the crowd. All these people in their expensive clothes, who'd come to witness what they thought was a fairy tale. They wanted a show. I'd give them one. I yanked off my engagement ring and threw it at Derek's feet. "The wedding is off." The ballroom exploded with shocked voices. "Mara, wait." Derek reached for me, but Dante stepped between us smoothly. "Touch her," Dante said softly, "and lose the hand." Derek actually stumbled backward. I grabbed my mother's hand and started walking down the aisle, away from Derek, away from the lie. The crowd parted before us like a sea, everyone staring, whispering. Dante fell into step beside me, his security detail creating a protective barrier. I felt their presence like a shield, warm, solid, safe. We emerged into the hotel corridor, and I finally let myself breathe. "Miss Castellano," Dante began. "Mara," I interrupted. "Just Mara." His lips quirked in what might have been a smile. "Mara, you will need somewhere safe to stay. Morrison will not accept this humiliation quietly. We have an apartment, which Morrison knows the location of." Dante's voice was firm but not unkind. "My men will collect your belongings. You and your mother will stay at one of my properties until this settles. I can't accept..." "You can. You will." He pulled out a phone, sleek, expensive, and made a call in rapid Italian. When he hung up, he looked at my mother. "Mrs. Castellano, my driver will take you to collect anything you need from your apartment. You will be accompanied by my security." Mom looked between us, her face pale. Mara, I don't think... It's okay, Mom. Surprisingly, I meant it. For the first time in months, something felt right. Go. I'll meet you there. After a moment, she nodded. One of Dante's men, tall, broad-shouldered, with kind eyes, stepped forward to escort her. Alone with Dante in the corridor, I finally let myself shake. Thank you, I whispered. Do not thank me yet. His eyes were dark, unreadable. What I did today will have consequences. What do you mean? Connections. Morrison's family has pride. They will retaliate, in whatever way they can. He studied my face. By claiming you publicly, I have made you a target. Fear curled in my stomach. Then why? Because some debts must be honored, and some cruelties cannot be tolerated. His voice was steel wrapped in velvet. Your father saved my younger sister's life. He died because of it. I owe him everything. That debt extends to you. I absorbed this, my mind reeling. I don't want to be a debt. You are not. Something flickered in his eyes, something almost like respect. You are Antonio's daughter. That makes you family. Family. The word echoed strangely. I'd barely had family before, just Mom and me against the world. A black SUV pulled up to the hotel entrance, its windows tinted dark. The driver emerged, another man in a black suit, moving with military precision. I'll take you somewhere safe, Dante said. We have much to discuss. I should have been afraid. This man was dangerous. I could feel it in the way people moved around him, the way his mere presence had stopped my wedding. But standing there in my wedding dress, a runaway bride with nowhere to go, I felt something else entirely. I felt protected. Okay, I said. He helped me into the SUV, his hand warm and steady on my elbow. The gesture was surprisingly gentle from someone who'd just choked my ex-fiancé. As we pulled away from the hotel, I looked back through the tinted window. I could see people spilling out onto the steps. Guests, family, all talking excitedly about the scandal they'd just witnessed. Derek stood at the entrance, his face twisted with rage, watching us leave. He looks like he wants to kill someone, I murmured. He is welcome to try. Dante's voice was cold. It would save me the trouble of destroying him slowly. I turned to look at him. What are you going to do to him? Nothing he has not earned. He met my gaze. Morrison humiliated you, used you. That requires a response. I don't want revenge, I said quietly. I just want to be free of him. Dante was silent for a long moment. You have a kind heart, Mara Castellano. Your father had the same quality. It is rare in my world. Your world, I repeated. The Mafia. He didn't deny it. Yes. And my father was part of it. Your father was a good man who did what he had to do to provide for his family. He had honor, integrity, qualities that are priceless. Dante's expression softened slightly. He spoke of you often, his brilliant daughter. He was very proud. Tears burned my eyes. I'd been so angry at my father for leaving us, for dying, for the debts he'd left behind. But maybe I hadn't known the whole story. Where are we going? I asked. My home. You will be safe there. I should have protested, should have insisted on staying somewhere public, somewhere normal. But nothing about my life had been normal for a long time, and sitting here, watching the city pass by through tinted windows, I realized something. I'd spent 6 months being what Derek wanted me to be, grateful, pliant, small. I'd made myself invisible to survive. I was done being invisible. Okay, I said again. Take me home. Dante's lips curved in the faintest smile. As you wish, Mara. The SUV turned onto a private road, leaving the city behind. I didn't look back. Dante's home wasn't a home. It was a fortress disguised as an estate. We drove through iron gates that opened silently at our approach, then down a tree-lined driveway that seemed to go on forever. The main house emerged from the darkness like something out of a dream. 3 stories of pale stone and arched windows, wrapped in ivy and illuminated by soft golden lights. Gardens stretched out on either side, manicured and perfect even in the fading evening light. This is where you live? I breathed. One of several properties. Dante's tone was matter of fact. This is the safest. The SUV stopped in front of a grand entrance where 2 more men in dark suits stood watch. They nodded respectfully as Dante emerged. Then their eyes moved to me with careful neutrality. I stepped out of the vehicle, suddenly aware of how ridiculous I must look. A runaway bride in a silk wedding dress, climbing out of a mafia boss's SUV like some bizarre Cinderella story gone wrong. Dante noticed my hesitation. Come, you will want to change, I imagine. Inside, the house was even more magnificent. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, art that probably cost more than my entire life. But it didn't feel cold or sterile. There was warmth here, dark wood, soft lighting, the scent of something cooking that made my stomach growl traitorously. A woman appeared from a side hallway, older, maybe 60, with silver hair pulled back in an elegant knot and warm brown eyes. She took one look at me in my wedding dress and made a soft, sympathetic sound. Povera ragazza, she murmured. Poor girl. This is Rosa, Dante said. She manages my household. Rosa, this is Mara Castellano, Antonio's daughter. Rosa's expression transformed. She pressed her hands to her chest, her eyes filling with tears. Antonio's daughter? Dio mio, you look like him. The eyes, yes, his eyes. Before I could respond, she swept me into a hug that smelled like vanilla and lavender. Your father was a good man, so good. Come, come. You must be exhausted. I will draw you a bath, find you clothes. Have you eaten? No. I realized I hadn't eaten all day. Wedding nerves, I'd thought. Now I understood it had been my body trying to tell me something was wrong. Unacceptable, Rosa declared. She fired off rapid Italian to Dante, who responded in kind, his voice softer than I'd heard it before. They argued briefly, though it seemed more affectionate than angry, before Rosa took my arm possessively. Come. Men, they know nothing about what a woman needs. I will take care of you. I glanced back at Dante, uncertain. He nodded once. You are safe here, Mara. Rest. We will talk tomorrow. Rosa led me up a sweeping staircase to the 2nd floor, chattering in a mix of Italian and English about how long it had been since there was a woman in the house, how Dante worked too much, how she'd prayed for Antonio's family after his death. She brought me to a bedroom that was larger than my entire apartment. A 4-poster bed dominated the space, draped in soft cream linens. French doors opened onto a balcony overlooking the gardens. The attached bathroom had a soaking tub big enough for 3 people. I will bring clothes, Rosa promised. You bathe. Take your time. There is no rush, no worry here. After she left, I stood in the middle of that beautiful room and finally let myself feel it. All of it. The shock, the betrayal, the humiliation. The strange, surreal turn my life had taken in the space of a few hours. I'd woken up this morning expecting to become Mrs. Derek Morrison. Now I was standing in a mafia boss's guest room, my wedding dress crumpled around my feet, my entire life in pieces. A laugh bubbled up, half hysterical, half relieved. Then came the tears. I cried in that enormous bathtub, the water turning cold around me as I sobbed out months of trying to be someone I wasn't, years of struggling and scraping by, the weight of my father's death and my mother's desperate hope that I could be saved by a man who saw me as a joke. When the tears finally stopped, I felt empty, clean, like I'd washed away more than just the day. Rosa had left clothes on the bed, soft leggings, an oversized cashmere sweater that probably cost a month's rent, thick socks. Everything fit perfectly, which should have been strange, but somehow wasn't. Dante Valentino seemed like the type of man who paid attention to details. I found my way back downstairs by following the smell of food. The kitchen was huge, all stainless steel and marble counters. But it felt lived in, used. Rosa stood at the stove, stirring something in a large pot. Sit, sit, she commanded, pointing to a breakfast nook by the windows. You will eat. She placed a bowl of pasta in front of me. Simple, just olive oil and garlic and fresh herbs, but it smelled like heaven. I took a bite and nearly moaned. Good, yes? Rosa smiled. This was your father's favorite. He would come to the kitchen after a long night, and I would make this for him. We would talk. Tell me about him, I said softly. Please. My mother. She never wanted to talk about his work. Rosa settled into the chair across from me, her expression growing distant with memory. Antonio was loyal. So loyal. When Dante's father was alive, Antonio was his right hand. Not just muscle, you understand. Though he was strong. He was smart, kind, he kept the peace. What happened to him? Her face shadowed. There was an attempt on Dante's sister, Gabriella. She was only 16, rival family, trying to send a message. Your father was escorting her home from school. They were ambushed. She crossed herself. Antonio put himself between Gabriella and the bullets. He saved her life, but he died. I finished, my throat tight. He died a hero. Dante was only 25 then, newly in charge after his father's death. What Antonio did, it meant everything. Dante made sure your family was cared for. Money sent, debts cleared, but your mother refused further contact. She wanted a clean break from this world. I absorbed this, pieces of my life clicking into place. The mysterious payments that had helped us survive the first year after Dad's death. Mom's insistence that we never discuss where they came from. Her fear whenever anyone mentioned the Valentino name. She was trying to protect me, I murmured. Yes. And she did. But now... Rosa's eyes were gentle. Now you are here. And Dante, he takes his debts seriously. Too seriously, perhaps. What do you mean? Before she could answer, the man himself appeared in the doorway. He'd changed from his suit into dark slacks and a white shirt, sleeves rolled up to reveal surprisingly muscular forearms. Without the armor of the formal clothes, he looked younger, maybe early 30s, still dangerous, but somehow more human. Rosa, you are filling her head with stories, he said, but there was warmth in his voice. Someone must tell her the truth, Rosa shot back. You certainly will not. You and your secrets. He sighed, moving into the kitchen with the easy grace of someone completely comfortable in his space. How do you feel? He asked me. Like my life just exploded, I answered honestly. An apt description. He poured himself a glass of wine from a bottle on the counter, then held it up questioningly to me. I nodded. Why not? Nothing about this day had been normal. He poured a second glass and settled into the chair beside me. This close, I could smell his cologne again. Cedar and something darker that I was starting to recognize as uniquely him. Your mother has arrived safely, he said. She is in the East Wing, resting. My men retrieved what you needed from your apartment. Thank you. Morrison has been calling your phone, texting. His jaw tightened. My people are monitoring the situation. A chill ran through me. What is he saying? Nothing worth repeating. Threats, mostly. Please. Accusations. He is a man who does not like losing. Dante's dark eyes met mine. I have people watching him. He will not come near you. You can't watch me forever, can I not? There was something almost possessive in the way he said it, and I felt heat creep into my cheeks. Rosa made a knowing sound and stood. I will leave you to talk. Mara, if you need anything, my room is on the first floor, third door on the left. After she left, silence settled between us. I sipped my wine, trying to organize the 1,000 questions crowding my mind. Why did you really come to the wedding? I finally asked. You said you owed my father a debt, but you could have just sent a message, stopped it another way. Why show up in person? Dante was quiet for a long moment, his fingers tracing the rim of his wineglass. When my men told me about Morrison's bet, I had them investigate further. I read the transcripts of his conversations, saw how he spoke about you. His voice hardened. He was planning to destroy you, not just end the marriage, but ensure you were blamed, humiliated. He wanted to break you completely. Why would he care that much? Because men like Morrison are bullies. They cannot stand being rejected, even by those they see as beneath them. Dante's eyes met mine, and I saw anger there, cold, controlled fury. I have seen this pattern before, watched powerful men crush vulnerable women for sport. I will not allow it. So you saved me. I honored a debt, he corrected. but something in his expression suggested it was more than that. "Dante," I said carefully, "what happens now?" "Now?" He leaned back in his chair. "Now you are under my protection. Morrison will attempt retaliation. He is predictable. His family will try to save face. There will be social consequences, business consequences. I will handle all of it. I don't want to be a burden." His laugh was short, sharp. "You are not a burden, Mara Castellano. You are—" He stopped, seeming to reconsider his words. "You are the daughter of a man I respected. That makes you family." There was that word again. Family. "I don't know anything about your world," I admitted. "The Mafia, the families, the rules. I'm just a waitress who—" "You are not just anything." His interruption was firm. "Your father's blood runs in your veins. You have more strength than you know." I wanted to believe him. Wanted to feel strong instead of broken. "I should let you rest," Dante said, standing. "Tomorrow, we will discuss your options. For now, know that you are safe here. My home is yours for as long as you need it." He started to leave, but I caught his hand without thinking. His skin was warm, calloused in unexpected places. "Dante," I whispered, "thank you for today, for everything." He looked down at our joined hands, and something flickered in his eyes, something hot and dangerous and quickly suppressed. "Sleep well, Mara." After he left, I sat in that kitchen for a long time, finishing my wine and trying to process the impossible reality of my new life. Somewhere in the house, my mother was sleeping. Somewhere in the city, Derek was probably plotting revenge. And somewhere in this massive fortress of a home, Dante Valentino was, what? Planning? Working? Thinking about the mess he'd just pulled me into? I climbed the stairs to my borrowed room and collapsed onto the bed, still wearing Rosa's soft clothes. Through the French doors, I could see the gardens lit by moonlight, peaceful and perfect. I should have been terrified, should have been planning my escape. Instead, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. I felt safe, and that, perhaps, was the most dangerous thing of all. I woke to sunlight streaming through the French doors and the smell of coffee. For a moment, I forgot where I was. Then it all came rushing back: the wedding, Derek's betrayal, Dante's intervention. I sat up, my wedding dress from yesterday draped over a chair like a ghost of my former life. A soft knock on the door made me jump. "Come in," I called, pulling the blankets up self-consciously. Rosa entered with a tray, coffee, fresh pastries, fruit. "Buongiorno, cara. I thought you might want breakfast before facing the day. You didn't have to—" "Nonsense." She set the tray on the bedside table. "Dante asked me to tell you he will be in his office when you are ready. No rush." After she left, I ate slowly, trying to calm my nerves. Today I would have to face reality, figure out what came next, where I would go, how I would rebuild my shattered life. I found clothes in the closet that hadn't been there last night, jeans that fit perfectly, soft sweaters, even shoes in my exact size. Either Rosa was a magician, or Dante's resources were more extensive than I'd imagined, probably both. I made my way downstairs, following the sound of low voices. Dante's office was at the end of a long hallway, the door partially open. I hesitated, then knocked. "Enter." He sat behind a massive desk, papers spread before him, phone to his ear. He was speaking Italian again, his voice crisp and authoritative. When he saw me, he held up one finger, "Wait," and finished his conversation. "Sit," he said after hanging up, gesturing to a leather chair across from him. "How did you sleep?" "Better than I expected." I settled into the chair. "Thank you for the clothes, and everything else. Rosa chose them. She has good taste." He leaned back, studying me with that intense gaze that made me feel exposed. "I have news. Morrison attempted to access your apartment last night. My men stopped him." My stomach dropped. "Is he—" "He is unharmed. Warned." Dante's tone suggested the warning had not been gentle. "He will not try again." "What did he want?" "To intimidate you. To reassert control." Dante's jaw tightened. "Men like Morrison cannot accept losing power. But he has underestimated the consequences of humiliating someone under my protection." "What are you going to do to him? What would you like me to do?" The question caught me off guard. Dante leaned forward, his dark eyes locked on mine. You are the wronged party, Mara. If you want him ruined, I can arrange it. His family's business, their reputation, their fortune, all of it can disappear. The power in that statement took my breath away. He was offering me revenge on a silver platter. I swallowed hard. I just want him to leave me alone, to never have to see him or think about him again. Something like approval flickered in Dante's expression. Then that is what you will have. I will ensure Morrison understands that any attempt to contact or harass you will result in severe consequences. He will leave you alone. And his family? They must hate me now. They fear me more than they could ever hate you. He said it simply, a statement of fact. But you are correct that there will be social fallout. The wedding was high profile. There will be talk, speculation, scandal. I hadn't even thought about that. My cheeks burned. Everyone will think I'm... What? A gold digger who found a better offer? Let them think what they wish. Those who matter will know the truth. And what is the truth? I asked quietly. Why did you really save me, Dante? I know you said you owed my father, but there's something else. I can feel it. He was silent for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Finally, he stood and moved to the window, his back to me. 3 years ago, he began, his voice low. I was engaged to be married. Her name was Isabella, daughter of an allied family, beautiful, educated, perfect on paper. He paused. The night before our wedding, I discovered she had been planted by a rival family. Everything. The courtship, the engagement, her affection, all of it was a lie. A long game to gain access to my operations, my family. I held my breath, afraid to interrupt. I called off the wedding publicly, humiliated her and her family. It was necessary, a message to anyone who would think to deceive me. He turned back to face me, and I saw something raw in his eyes. But in the months that followed, I learned she had not been willing. She had been forced by her family, threatened. And when the engagement ended, they punished her for failing. What happened to her? She disappeared. My people searched, but we never found her. His hands clenched at his sides. I had been so focused on my own betrayal, my own pride, that I never stopped to ask if she was also a victim. Understanding dawned. You saw yourself in Derek, and me in her. No. He crossed back to me, leaning against his desk, close enough that I could feel the heat of his body. I saw you as I should have seen Isabella. Not as a conspirator, but as someone being used, someone vulnerable who deserved protection, not punishment. So, this is guilt. You're protecting me to make up for her. In part. His honesty surprised me, but it is more than that. When I saw you in that corridor yesterday holding those scattered flowers, your eyes filled with pain, I felt rage, not just for what Morrison had done, but at the cruelty of it, at the casual way powerful people destroy those they see as beneath them. He reached out slowly, giving me time to pull away, and brushed a strand of hair from my face. The touch was gentle, reverent even. You deserve better than Derek Morrison, he said softly. You deserve to be cherished, not used, protected, not betrayed. My breath caught. Dante. A sharp knock on the door broke the moment. One of Dante's men entered, the one who'd escorted my mother yesterday. Boss, we have a situation. Dante's expression hardened instantly. Speak. Morrison filed a police report. Claims harassment, kidnapping. Says you threatened him and coerced Miss Castellano into leaving the wedding. I felt the blood drain from my face. He's lying. Of course he is lying. Dante's voice was ice, but he has his family's lawyers and connections. This is his retaliation. He turned to his man. Contact our attorneys, have them prepare statements, and get me everything on the officers handling the case. I want to know who we are dealing with. Already done, boss. But there's more. Morrison is giving interviews, claims Miss Castellano was having an affair with you before the wedding, that you've been stalking her. Rage flashed across Dante's face, quickly suppressed. Of course. He seeks to destroy her reputation since he cannot have her. I can give a statement, I said quickly. Tell them the truth, that Derek was the one who... No. Dante's tone left no room for argument. "You will not subject yourself to their interrogation. They will twist your words, make you doubt yourself. I have lawyers for this, but I'm the one he's lying about, and I am the one with the resources to fight him." He cupped my face gently, forcing me to meet his eyes. "Trust me, Mara. I will not let him win." The certainty in his voice should have reassured me. Instead, it terrified me, because I realized in that moment how much power Dante Valentino actually had, and how easily he could use it. What if Derek was right? What if I had just traded one cage for another? As if reading my thoughts, Dante's expression softened. "You are not a prisoner here. If you wish to leave, to handle this yourself, I will not stop you. But know that Morrison will use every weapon at his disposal to destroy you. Alone, you are vulnerable. With me, you are protected." It was the truth, harsh and simple. "What do we do?" I whispered. "We go on the offensive." He released me and turned to his man. "Schedule a press conference. I will make a statement." "Boss, are you sure?" "Yes." Dante's voice was steel. "Morrison wants a war. He will have one. But he has made a critical mistake." "What's that?" Dante's smile was cold, dangerous, and terrifyingly beautiful. He thought I was bluffing when I said Mara was mine. The possessiveness in those words sent a shiver through me. Over the next few hours, I watched Dante orchestrate a response with military precision. Lawyers arrived. Statements were drafted. Phone calls were made in rapid Italian. Through it all, Dante remained calm, controlled, deadly. My mother found me in the library where I'd retreated to escape the chaos. "Mara, sweetheart." She looked exhausted, older somehow. "Are you all right?" "I don't know." I gestured helplessly. "Derek is accusing me of things. Dante is preparing for war, and I don't know what to do." She sat beside me, taking my hands. "I should have told you about your father." "About the Valentinos. I thought I was protecting you, but I only made you vulnerable. You did what you thought was best." "Did I?" Her eyes filled with tears. "If you'd known who your father really was, what he'd done, maybe you would have seen Derek for what he was sooner. Maybe you would have had the strength to walk away." "Mom." "Dante is a dangerous man, Mara. But he is also honorable. Your father trusted him with his life. With ours." She squeezed my hands. "Whatever happens next, know that you are not alone. Not anymore." That evening, Dante's press conference aired on every major news channel. I watched from his office, my heart in my throat, as he faced down a room full of reporters with the same calm authority he brought to everything. "I am here to address the false allegations made by Derek Morrison," he began, his accented voice clear and strong. "Miss Mara Castellano is under my family's protection due to her late father's service and sacrifice. Yesterday I learned of Mr. Morrison's cruel deception, that his engagement to Miss Castellano was based on a bet, a game to humiliate a vulnerable woman for his own amusement." Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. Dante ignored them. "I have evidence of Mr. Morrison's conversations regarding this bet. Evidence of his plans to divorce Miss Castellano after securing his trust fund, using her and discarding her. I intervened because such cruelty cannot be tolerated." He paused, his dark eyes finding the camera as if looking directly at Derek. "Miss Castellano is innocent. She is a victim of Morrison's manipulation. Any claims that she behaved inappropriately are lies designed to cover his own guilt and humiliation." His voice dropped, becoming dangerously soft. "I suggest Mr. Morrison withdraw his false accusations and focus instead on explaining to his family and society why he thought it acceptable to treat another human being as a joke." "Mr. Valentino," a reporter shouted, "what is your relationship with Miss Castellano?" Dante's expression was unreadable. "Miss Castellano is under my protection. That is all you need to know." But the way he said it, the possessiveness, the certainty, suggested it was much more than that. As the press conference ended, I realized something had shifted. This wasn't just about protecting me anymore. This was personal for Dante. He'd claimed me publicly, staked his reputation on my innocence. He'd made me his. The question was, what did that mean? And why did the thought of belonging to Dante Valentino terrify and thrill me in equal measure? Later that night, after the news cycle had exploded with coverage of the scandal, I found Dante on the terrace overlooking the gardens. He stood with a glass of whiskey, his suit jacket discarded, looking younger and more human than I'd ever seen him. "You didn't have to do that," I said softly, joining him at the railing. "Yes, I did. Derek will retaliate. This will only make things worse. Let him try." Dante's voice was cold. "I have already begun dismantling his family's business interests. By the end of the week, the Morrison name will be synonymous with dishonor. You're destroying him. I am defending you." He turned to face me fully, "And I am ensuring no one else ever thinks they can hurt you without consequences." The intensity in his eyes made my breath catch. "Why does this matter so much to you?" "Because—" He stopped, jaw tightening. "Because you matter, Mara." The admission hung between us, heavy with meaning. "I'm not her," I whispered. "Isabella, I'm not your second chance at redemption." "No." He stepped closer, so close I could feel the heat of his body. "You are not. You are something else entirely." "What?" His hand came up, cupping my face with surprising gentleness. "You are mine to protect, mine to defend. Mine." The possessiveness should have scared me. Instead, it ignited something deep in my chest, something fierce and wanting. "Dante," I breathed. He lowered his head slowly, giving me time to pull away. I didn't. When his lips met mine, the world tilted. The kiss was gentle at first, questioning, but when I responded, when I pressed closer, my hands gripping his shirt, it deepened into something hungry, desperate. He kissed me like I was precious, like I was his. And God help me, I wanted to be. The kiss broke slowly, reluctantly. Dante rested his forehead against mine, his breathing unsteady, his hands still cradling my face like I was something fragile and precious. "This is dangerous," he murmured. "I know. You have been through trauma, betrayal. I should not—" "Don't." I pressed my fingers to his lips. "Don't tell me what I should or shouldn't feel. I've spent too long letting other people make those decisions for me." His dark eyes searched mine. "What do you feel, Mara?" "Safe," I whispered. "For the first time in so long, I feel safe and seen. And—" I hesitated, then pushed forward. "And wanted. Not as a bet or a joke or a burden. Just wanted." Something fierce and possessive flashed in his expression. "You are wanted. More than you know." He kissed me again, slower this time, deeper. His hands slid into my hair, tilting my head back as he explored my mouth with devastating thoroughness. I melted against him, my body responding to his in ways that both thrilled and terrified me. When we finally pulled apart, both breathless, Dante's control was visibly frayed. "We should stop." "Why?" "Because if we do not, I will not be able to." His voice was rough, strained. "And you deserve better than to be claimed in the aftermath of another man's cruelty. You deserve time, space, certainty." The consideration in his words made my chest ache. What if I don't want to wait? "Mara, I'm not broken, Dante. I'm angry. I'm hurt, but I'm not broken." I stepped back, meeting his eyes. "Derek made me feel small, invisible. You make me feel powerful. I want that. I want you." For a long moment, he just stared at me. Then he shook his head slowly, a small smile touching his lips. "You are Antonio's daughter, stubborn, fearless. Is that a yes?" "It is a promise." He pulled me close again, his arms wrapping around me. "I will give you time to be certain, to heal, and when you are ready, truly ready, I will make you mine in every way that matters." I should have argued, should have insisted I was already certain, but something in his tone made me pause. Because he was right. I was still reeling, still processing, and Dante Valentino was not a man for rash decisions. He was a man who kept his promises. Over the next 2 weeks, my life transformed in ways I could never have imagined. Derek's accusations crumbled under the weight of evidence. Dante's lawyers produced recordings of Derek's conversations with Jason, text messages detailing the bet, even witnesses who'd heard Derek bragging about his game with the poor waitress. The media turned on him viciously, and the Morrison family, faced with undeniable proof of their son's cruelty, withdrew their support to save their own reputation. Derek's trust fund was frozen pending investigation into financial irregularities. His father's real estate empire began to collapse as Dante quietly bought up their leases and called in debts. Within 10 days, Derek Morrison went from golden boy to pariah. I should have felt triumphant. Instead, I just felt free. Dante was true to his word. He gave me space, time, but never distance. He was always there, at breakfast, during evening walks through the gardens, in quiet moments when I needed someone to simply listen. He taught me about my father's life, sharing stories Rosa and his men told. Antonio Castellano had been respected, loved even, by those who served with him. He'd been more than muscle. He'd been a mediator, a protector, someone who brought honor to a world often lacking in it. Learning about him helped heal something broken inside me. My mother settled into the East Wing, finally allowing herself to relax for the first time in years. She and Rosa became fast friends, spending hours in the kitchen cooking and laughing. Watching her smile again made everything worth it. But it was Dante who consumed my thoughts. He was careful never to push, never to assume, but the tension between us grew with each passing day, the way his eyes followed me across a room. The casual touches that lingered a moment too long, the heated looks we exchanged when no one was watching. I was falling for him, hard and fast, and completely. 3 weeks after my ruined wedding, Dante asked me to join him for dinner. Not in the casual way we'd shared meals before. This was formal. An invitation delivered by Rosa with a knowing smile. "Wear something beautiful," she advised. "Tonight is important." I found a dress in my closet, deep emerald green, elegant and sophisticated, that fit like it had been made for me. Probably because it had been. Dante's attention to detail was both impressive and slightly unnerving. He was waiting in the formal dining room, dressed in a black suit that made him look like sin personified. When he saw me, something flared in his dark eyes. "You are stunning," he said quietly. "You clean up well yourself." He smiled, a real smile, warm and genuine. "Come, sit." The table was set for 2, candles casting soft light, wine already poured. Rosa had outdone herself with the food, course after course of Italian perfection. But I could barely taste it, too aware of Dante's gaze on me, the weight of unspoken words between us. Finally, after dessert was cleared, he stood and offered his hand. "Walk with me?" We moved out to the terrace, the gardens lit by moonlight and soft pathway lights. The night air was cool, carrying the scent of jasmine and roses. "I have something for you," Dante said, reaching into his jacket pocket. He pulled out a small box, not a ring box, I noted with relief. I wasn't ready for that. Not yet. Inside was a necklace, a delicate gold chain with a small pendant, shaped like a bird in flight. "It was your father's," Dante explained softly. "He wore it always, said it reminded him that even in our darkest moments, we have the choice to rise, to fly. When he died, I kept it. I always meant to give it to you." Tears burned my eyes as I touched the pendant. "It's beautiful. Like you." He took the necklace gently. "May I?" I nodded, turning so he could fasten it. His fingers brushed the nape of my neck, sending shivers down my spine. When I turned back, he was watching me with an intensity that stole my breath. "Mara," he began, his voice rough. "These past weeks with you have been unexpected. I brought you here out of duty, honor, debt, but somewhere along the way it became more." My heart was racing. "More? You have become important to me, not as Antonio's daughter, not as someone I am obligated to protect, but as yourself, as Mara." He stepped closer, his hands coming up to frame my face. "I want you. Not just for a night, not just until the scandal dies down. I want you in my life, in my home, in my world." "Dante, let me finish." His thumbs brushed my cheekbones. "I know my world is dangerous. I know what I am, what I do. I can give you safety, protection, anything you desire, but I cannot give you normalcy. If you choose me, you choose all of it. The danger, the complications, the darkness. And if I do choose you," I whispered. His eyes blazed. Then I will spend every day proving you made the right choice. I will cherish you, protect you, worship you. You will never again doubt your worth, your beauty, your strength. You will be mine, and I will be yours, completely." The possessiveness in his words should have frightened me. Instead, it ignited something fierce in my chest. "I choose you," I said firmly. "I choose this life, this world. I choose you, Dante Valentino." He kissed me then, deep and claiming and full of promise. His hands slid into my hair, tilting my head back as he devoured my mouth. I pressed against him, my fingers clutching his jacket, wanting him closer, needing more. When he pulled back, his control was hanging by a thread. "Are you certain?" "Completely." "Then come with me." He led me inside, up the stairs to his bedroom, a space I'd never entered before. It was masculine, elegant, dominated by a massive bed. He closed the door behind us, then turned to face me. "Last chance to change your mind," he said softly. Instead of answering, I reached for the zipper of my dress. His eyes darkened. "Mara, make me yours," I whispered. "Completely." What followed was unlike anything I'd experienced. Derek had been selfish, rushed, focused only on his own pleasure. Dante was different. He worshipped me with hands and mouth, learning every sound I made, every place that made me gasp. He was demanding but attentive, possessive but reverent. When he finally claimed me, it felt like coming home. Afterward, wrapped in his arms, I felt a peace I'd never known. "I love you," I whispered against his chest. He tensed, then relaxed, his arms tightening around me. "I love you, Mara Castellano, my brave, beautiful girl." The morning brought reality, but gentler than before. I woke to find Dante already awake, watching me with an expression so tender it made my chest ache. "Good morning," he murmured, brushing hair from my face. "Good morning. I have a proposition for you." I raised an eyebrow. "Another one?" He smiled. "Marry me." My heart stopped. "What?" "Not now," he clarified quickly. "Not tomorrow, when you are ready. But I want you to know my intentions are serious. Permanent. You are not a passing fascination, Mara. You are my future." Tears blurred my vision. "You barely know me. I know enough. I know you are strong, compassionate, fierce when protecting those you love. I know you make me want to be better, to build something beyond power and control." His dark eyes were serious. "I know I do not want to spend another day without you in my life." "Yes," I breathed. "Yes? Yes, I'll marry you. When I'm ready. When we're both ready." I smiled through my tears. "Ask me again in 6 months. 6 months," he agreed, sealing the promise with a kiss. 6 months later, the wedding was nothing like the one I'd almost had with Derek. We married at sunset in Dante's gardens, surrounded only by family. My mother, Rosa, Gabriella, Dante's sister, who'd flown in from Italy, and the men who'd become like brothers to Dante. No reporters, no society gossips, no one who would judge or whisper, just us and the people who mattered. I wore a simple white dress, elegant but understated. Dante wore black, looking devastatingly handsome as he waited for me beneath an arch covered in white roses and ivy. When I reached him, he took my hands, his eyes suspiciously bright. "You came," he murmured. "Did you doubt?" "Never." The ceremony was short, the vows traditional but meaningful. When Dante slid the ring onto my finger, a simple gold band that had belonged to his grandmother, I felt the weight of commitment, of promise, of forever. "I now pronounce you husband and wife," the priest said. Dante kissed me like he'd been waiting his entire life for this moment. Maybe he had. The reception was small, intimate, perfect. Rosa had cooked enough food for an army. Gabriella gave a tearful speech about how she'd prayed for years that her brother would find someone worthy of his heart. My mother hugged me tight, whispering that my father would be proud. As the night deepened and stars emerged, Dante pulled me away from the celebration, leading me to a quiet corner of the garden. "Happy?" he asked, more than I ever thought possible. I leaned into him, feeling safe, cherished, home. "Thank you." "For what?" For saving me. For seeing me. For loving me. He cupped my face gently. You saved yourself, Mara. I simply gave you the space to remember your own strength. We saved each other. I corrected. Yes, he agreed. We did. In the distance, I could hear music, laughter, the sounds of celebration, my mother's voice, Rosa's laughter, the low rumble of Dante's men enjoying the rare moment of peace. This was my life now. Not a fairy tale. Dante's world was too dangerous, too complicated for that. But it was mine. Chosen freely. Built on honesty and trust and fierce, consuming love. I thought about Derek sometimes, wondered if he ever understood what he'd lost, what he'd thrown away for a stupid bet. Last I'd heard, he'd moved across the country, trying to escape the shadow of his humiliation. His family's business had recovered somewhat, though they'd never regain their former status. The Morrison name would always carry the stain of Derek's cruelty. I didn't hate him anymore. I almost pitied him, because he would never know what it felt like to be truly seen, truly valued, truly loved. What are you thinking? Dante asked, his arms around my waist. That I'm glad he made that bet. Dante pulled back, surprised. What? If Derek hadn't been cruel, if he'd actually loved me, I would have married him. I would never have met you. I smiled up at my husband. His worst moment led to my best one. Understanding softened Dante's expression. You find light even in darkness. I learned from the best. He kissed me softly, reverently. Come, Mrs. Valentino. Our guests will wonder where we have gone. Let them wonder, I said. But I let him lead me back. As we walked through the gardens toward the music and lights, I touched the bird pendant at my throat. My father's gift, worn on this day to honor the man whose sacrifice had ultimately led me here. He'd been right. Even in our darkest moments, we have the choice to rise, to fly. I'd been broken, used, humiliated. I'd been someone's joke, someone's bet. But I'd risen. I'd flown. And I'd found home in the arms of a dangerous man who'd taught me that love wasn't about rescue. It was about recognition. About seeing someone completely and choosing them anyway. Dante Valentino had seen me, truly seen me, when I was invisible to everyone else. And I had seen him, beyond the power, the danger, the dark reputation, to the man beneath. The man who kept his promises, who honored his debts, who loved fiercely and completely.